You know, you go back and you look at where we came from, and Dr. King and a lot of the focus on civil rights, on just the right to do things that everybody else was able to do. He had focused, and so much of the focus back then was in the South, was in Mississippi, was in Georgia, was in Alabama. But let's bring it a little closer to home. Let's go back to the 1950s or 60s or 70s in New York or in other major urban cities. I'm going to read a quote to you from Dr. King. As he talked, and this was, you know, when you look at the I Have a Dream speech, which is probably his best known speech, there were a number of other speeches that led up to that. That was in August of 1963. A speech from what was called the Great March on Detroit in June of 1963. Dr. King, obviously it was a group of people who had helped to contribute to the cause. But his comments after that, now the second thing that you can do to help us down in Alabama and Mississippi and all over the South is to work with determination to get rid of any segregation and discrimination in Detroit, realizing that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And we've got to come to see that the problem of racial injustice is a national problem. No community in the country can boast of clean hands in the area of brotherhood. Now in the North, it's different, and it doesn't have the legal sanction that it has in the South. But it has its subtle and hidden forms, and exists in three areas. In the area of employment discrimination, in the area of housing discrimination, and in the area of de facto segregation in public schools. And we must come to see that de facto segregation in the North is just as injurious as the actual segregation in the South. And so if you want to help us in Alabama and Mississippi and over the South, do all that you can to get rid of the problem here. Now that was in Detroit. And I'd like to be able to say that I don't remember the 1960s in New York City, and I was, wasn't born yet, but I was. My father, back in the 1950s and early 1960s, was the regional head of the NAACP in New York. I remember some of the things that he was involved in. By the way, I'm blessed. My father is 86 years old. I'm going to catch up with him later today because he's at work. He's 86. He's working 5 days a week. He's an attorney. He's a former New York State Senator, as a legislator. As a matter of fact, first African-American state senator of Brooklyn's history in 1965. So it wasn't that long ago. He was a member of the New York City Council and a judge of the New York State Supreme Court and of the Appellate Division. Wow, he retired in 2000, and at the end of 2000, when he hit mandatory retirement age, which was 76. As I said, he's still working, still going strong. The scary thing is, and I've used the phrase, it's hard to say that your father's dating. He's dating. We were trying to catch up on this Sunday. My father was like, I can't. And I was like, what do you mean you can't? I got a date. As I said, that's my father. I hope it's genetic. He's going strong.